Hello. I wanted to make this video because I got a question or a discussion from a friend on Instagram. His name's Kevin. His Instagram ad is live from the gutter 444. He's an amazing artist. You should definitely check his page out. He has some insane drawings. Really talented. Hello, Toph. If I were to name the art movement that we're currently living in and what it's defined by, and he mentioned AI and how that, Toph, oh my God. He mentioned AI and the focus or the pattern of noticing people focusing on the artist's stream of consciousness. Yeah, you are so distracting. So I wanted to talk about that. And so he messaged me some voice memos that I couldn't agree more with. But from my perspective, and I'll probably insert those if he's cool with it at the end of this video, because I think his input is really interesting. I think the current art movement is defined by authenticity. And I think it's a counter to AI, social media, and late stage capitalism, which I know is like some pretty big fucking topics to like touch on, but I'm gonna do my best. So as far as like social media goes, but like how crazy that influence is on your creative process, I think it creates like a lot of pressure for like up and coming artists who are trying to, or on this like, journey of self-discovery and with their like artistic process or their style or whatnot, you know? It's something I've noticed, and I don't mean this as like an insult, but I think people are becoming kind of caricatures of themselves, and they're really pigeonholing themselves into this like niche box or whatnot, and I think that's like really damaging. You should be able to like experiment with everything and anything that you want to do, but the internet is just basically whatever hits the algorithm. And if you keep seeing me like look over here, it's because I have like a script that I wrote, because I genuinely like can't make a video that isn't me rambling for like an hour. Artist, and I don't think that's like a crazy unique hot take. Like I think people know that. I think a lot of artists subconsciously feel this, feel like they're being perceived while creating. And maybe that's like me projecting, but I do feel that a lot, and that's why I really don't like, I can't make these like draw with me style videos, and like drawing on camera really stresses me out, like to the point where I have tried to make videos of like sketchbook spreads or whatnot, and it's just not something I can do. I can't create while I feel like I have an audience watching me. It's just not. And I mean audience watching as in like every step of the way. I mean, obviously people like follow me and see what the fuck I'm up to, but it makes me feel like I can't make a mistake or I can't experiment. Ow. Hello. You can't see, but there's like a little gremlin right here. Just makes me feel like I can't explore a new thing. Like I don't know, it's a weird feeling. And then lastly, I think this is something that like is not, again, a new topic, but comparison, the death of joy, for real. And I feel this, like I'm not above any of this. Comparison of your art to other people on social media, and like how their in comparison your process to other people's process is like a don't do that shit. It is not cool for you. Don't make yourself have like this pressure of, oh, my process is not like that at all, like, and that's why I'm not doing well, or like, you know, like that's so toxic to yourself. And I felt that way a lot. Like I constantly am like talking myself out of that, causing pressure for people to become really good at implementing their ideas and like putting out art, so much so that they're going to turn to AI and use it as a tool. But I really think that it's not a tool. I don't think it's a tool, and I know that's like also not a hot take, but kind of, because usually I'm pretty like progressive. I really am for like technological improvement, but I really don't think that this is an improvement. I think it is a detriment. And so what I mean by that is, if you're constantly comparing your art to people online, you're gonna be like, damn, I can't my ideas. I have ideas like that, but I just don't have the skill set to implement them, and I feel that, like, that's my whole life story. Constantly have ideas that I have for like songs and fucking like films and drawings and animations that I can't implement because I don't have the skill set for it. Like, I just don't, my artistic ability has not reached the like point where I can create those ideas. And that's okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna go to AI and type in my idea and then see it come to fruition, because you're removing the human aspect of it. Like, when you do that you have to find a way to bridge that gap on your own. And that's the only way that you can trust your creativity in the long run as an artist. Because if you're constantly using AI to create references, you're not exercising your creativity. And I think that creativity is a muscle you just gotta exercise. Like, I know that's not a hot take, but yeah, you just have to like keep going at it. That fucking brutal process of beating those ideas out and just like trying again, like doing that line a million times, like redrawing this part of the doodle a bajillion times. That's what makes the art human. Like, that struggle is so important, and it's what creates like value, because anyone can just like type in a prompt. In the future, if you want to implement an idea that is a really grandiose idea, you haven't had the skill set or the time or the history of doing that. So how you gonna do it? I don't know. This is so rambly. This is gonna be really fun to edit later when it like makes no sense. Another thing I wanted to touch on is idle time. I know that's weird, but I think that's really important. Our brains are just like being ass blasted constantly with information from everyone's opinions, everyone's experiences, like some of the worst brain rot on Instagram. I swear to God, I've lost IQ points on Instagram Reels. That shit is crazy. Why is it Live League 2.0? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I think your idle time, you're losing your connection to boredom, and I think that's inherently human. I think being bored and just like looking at trees and like looking around and noticing things in your environment is part of being human, and your brain takes that in subconsciously and pulls it out later. But if you're like this, you're not looking at the trees, you're not looking at the ground, you're not looking at the shadows, you're not seeing like these little weird patterns in the floors. But what are you supposed to pull from later, right? When you go to create, like, what do you pull from? Because you're not actually absorbing what you're seeing on social media, you're just kind of being blasted with it. You know, you're kind of like forced into paying attention to people because they're just screaming the loudest on Instagram Reels, or they're screaming the loudest on TikTok or whatever, you know? So that's not like that's not source material for you. That's just distraction from boredom that is uncomfortable, but is a necessary part of being creative, in my opinion. The last part I want to talk about is capitalism and how that ties in to all of this. Girl, you gotta be joking. Do you chew? This is a huge cat. Like, are you full of crunchies? The AI and the social media, like, all those things are symptoms of a larger problem. I hate to break it to y'all, but I see a lot of people being like, the system has failed. Girl, the system has failed. Like, it's not working, you know? Like, everything, the quality of things are going down, and like AI, like artists are being replaced, and like jobs are being replaced, and like all this other stuff. I hate to break it to you, but the system is working exactly how it's supposed to work. That is exactly that's like the fucking logical conclusion of capitalism. The ultimate goal is to give power and money to those who are benefiting at the top, the little tippy top, and in the fastest way possible, and the cheapest way possible, so you can maximize profits. And do you think that sitting around and looking at trees is generating money for people quickly and efficiently? that it's not. And that's why you have AI replacing your creative process, because that shit is not making money fast enough. Like when I think about capitalism art, I really think about video games, which I know is like a weird offshoot. So that video games are art. And if you've noticed in the last 5 years, especially though, the emphasis on getting the game out is way higher than like it being actually playable, it being good, it being like of quality. That's because they just want the money, like for people buying it. You know, they hype up these games to be they're amazing, they're this and they're that, and then they're not, because it takes time and it takes effort and it takes sitting around and doing nothing for a bit to get an idea, but that doesn't fucking generate money. So what do? They force it out. They put these poor devs in these shitty positions, and then they need to get all these games out, and then they're unplayable, they're awful, because ultimately the goal is not to make a nice game. The goal is not to make art. The goal is not to inspire people to tell stories. The goal is to sell you shit. And so I think that the next art movement is going to be authenticity. It's going to be people who are not trying to sell you shit. It's going to be the people who are doing this shit because if there was a comet that was touching down tomorrow, we're all going to die, they'd still be doing that shit anyways. You know what I mean? Like, it does not matter what is going on. You're gonna make art regardless, and I think those are the people that are going to be like spearheading the next movement of art. And I don't think that that's like, I don't think that that's a new thing. Like, obviously that's been artists for all of like human history, but I think specifically with AI and social media and on late stage capitalism, it's going to be really, really emphasized because people are noticing a difference for sure in the quality of things and the quality of art and the quality of their lives and how they experience things. I don't know if this was a good video or not. It's really hard to make like videos that make sense, and it's also really hard to put your thoughts out there, and I don't like it is difficult to just like put your thoughts out into the world, especially I haven't really made a video just like talking, yapping, if you will. So it's a new thing for me. I can't say that I'll be doing this often, because this was kind of like weirdly stressful. I don't know how to explain. I think I just have problems being perceived a little bit. Like, I want to have my thoughts out there and I want to like have discussions with people, but then I also get really fucking stressed out about like how I come off. I don't know, you know? Mostly because I'm not gonna be like a larger than life caricature, and I am gonna be kind of boring. So if you want to stick around for that, feel free, but I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. Thanks for listening to me yap. Yap City population, me.
Hey Jenna, this is like super overdue, so I'm gonna try to answer this as quickly as I can within the time limit. But basically what I was trying to talk about with stream of consciousness art, like one of my heroes, Basquiat, I think was very known for how he was heavily inspired by what was in his art studio, whether it be books, TV, music he was listening to. And to be honest, he has probably some of the craziest output when it comes to any artist ever, or maybe any kind of like modern artist. And I think that is even occurring like at in other artists at these levels, because the amount of sensory input that we're getting from social media is kind of overwhelming. And I think that a lot of the times, just constantly being hit with different pictures or references or sounds, some of those things kind of, I think, bubble out of the subconscious, like they are retained in our subconscious and it comes out in our works, which kind of reminds me a lot of Basquiat's creative process with how he would collect references and stuff like that. And with all of us, you know, as artists trying to create and also being constantly influenced by the things that we see and hear around us, I think it's going to become a lot more common for people to be making more stream of consciousness art. I also think that social media influences this because I think it's far easier, not easy in like a technical sense, but it's a lot easier to push out those raw and honest thoughts that come from like a stream of consciousness drawing or writing than it is to kind of sit on a theme and think about like how you can structure certain visual or literary elements together to get something. I think that with a lot of us trying to stand out, our subject matter and what we're thinking about in our stream of consciousness art, as well as like how easy it is to output it, I think will really influence the movement in the next couple of years. And then lastly, with regards to capitalism, I think with how the apps have made content creation kind of an output process, I think as we continue to become more ingrained with social media, whether it be Twitter or IG, stream of consciousness art will be able to give people the opportunity to be unique and still be able to output more than they normally would. And I want to link a couple of examples that I've seen recently that I compare them to. And then lastly, with regards to capitalism, I think with how the apps have made content creation kind of an output process, I think as we continue to become more ingrained with social media, whether it be Twitter or IG, stream of consciousness art will be able to give people the opportunity to be unique and still be able to output more than they normally would. And I want to link a couple of examples that I've seen recently that I thought were pretty interesting and kind of compare them to some of the stuff I have vaulted.